Welcome back to Totally Pointless. I'm JT.
And I'm TJ.
You ready to dive into some fascinating information?
Always.
We like to call it totally pointless info. We take all that research you send us and we break it down.
Yeah.
Like into those easy-to-digest nuggets of knowledge.
Bite-sized brain snacks.
Because who really has time to read all that stuff?
Right.
Especially when there are cat videos to watch.
Exactly. Priorities, people.
Speaking of priorities, are you a business owner?
Yeah.
Tired of watching your hard-earned money just disappear? Well, we've got a solution for you. Payment Solutions is here to help you keep more of your cash with their incredible share plan. It's like finding a $20 bill in your pocket.
Oh.
But instead of $20, it's potentially thousands.
Love that.
Okay, listener, you've sent us a mountain of articles.
A mountain.
And even a YouTube video all about Canadian politics. And hold on to your hats, folks, because Donald Trump is somehow back in the mix.
Oh, boy.
It seems like things are about to get interesting up north.
It does have the makings of a political drama. Chrystia Freeland, Canada's Deputy Prime Minister, just resigned.
Whoa.
Key figure in Trudeau's Liberal government.
Talk about dropping a bombshell. This is huge news, especially with an election potentially just around the corner. So what's your take on why Freeland resigned? Is this a sign that Trudeau's government is starting to crumble?
Well, let's look at the context. The sources you've provided highlight some serious disagreements between Freeland and Trudeau.
Okay.
Particularly when it comes to financial policies and how to handle those tariff threats from, you guessed it, Donald Trump. Her resignation could be interpreted as a lack of confidence in Trudeau's ability to handle the potential economic fallout.
Okay, so maybe a little crack in the foundation there. And speaking of cracks, let's talk about the potential impact of those tariffs. You sent us an article from The Australian outlining Trump's proposal, a whopping 25% tariff on Canadian exports. This could be devastating for the Canadian economy, right?
It's certainly a major concern. The Canadian economy is deeply intertwined with the U.S., with a significant portion of their exports going south of the border.
Right.
A 25% tariff would make Canadian goods much more expensive for American consumers, potentially leading to a sharp drop in demand.
So we're talking potential recession territory.
Possibly, yeah.
Ouch. The sources you sent paint a picture of Canadians feeling pretty anxious about the economy and not exactly thrilled with how the Liberal government has been handling this whole situation.
That's right. And this is where Pierre Poilievre, the leader of the Conservative Party, enters the scene. He's been seizing this opportunity, pushing for an early election and hammering Trudeau's leadership. He's basically saying, hey, I can do better.
And it looks like people might be buying it. The polls are showing the Conservatives with a pretty hefty lead right now. So let's dive into what Poilievre is actually offering. What are his big plans for Canada?
Well, his platform definitely hits on those classic conservative themes of lower taxes, less government intervention, and a focus on individual responsibility. So less red tape and more freedom.
Sounds appealing.
It does.
It certainly does to a segment of the population. And Poilievre is really leaning into this message, presenting himself as the strong, decisive leader Canada needs to navigate these turbulent times. He's been very vocal about criticizing Trudeau's handling of the economy and painting a picture of a brighter future under his leadership.
And let's not forget about those Trump tariffs. Poilievre has been hammering that point home, portraying himself as a guy who's not afraid to stand up to the Donald and protect Canada's economic interests.
He's definitely trying to position himself as the champion of the Canadian worker, the one who will fight for their jobs and their livelihoods. It's a powerful message, especially given the anxieties surrounding the economy.
Okay, so we've got a potentially unstable government, a looming trade war with the U.S., and a charismatic conservative leader who's promising to fix it all. This is starting to sound like a political thriller. Hold on to your popcorn, because we're just getting started. In the next part of our deep dive, we'll take a closer look at Poilievre's specific policy proposals and analyze whether they have the potential to deliver on those promises. We'll also explore what a conservative victory would actually mean for Canada's future.
Stay tuned. Welcome back to Totally Pointless. Last time we left off with a pretty dramatic cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Canada's facing some serious economic challenges, and Pierre Poilievre's riding in on a wave of populism.
Riding in.
Promising to save the day.
It's a very captivating political narrative. And now it's time to dig into the details. What exactly is Poilievre proposing to do?
Well, one of the most attention-grabbing proposals is his plan to shake up the housing market.
Oh.
He wants to scrap the Federal Housing Accelerator Fund.
Okay.
Which, for those who don't speak Canadian political jargon,
right,
is a program aimed at boosting affordable housing development.
Interesting.
And he's not stopping there. Poilievre wants to use some of the money saved by axing the fund to eliminate the GST. That's the goods and services tax. On newly built homes under $1 million.
Wow.
So he's essentially saying, let's make it cheaper to build and buy homes.
Yeah.
Sounds good in theory, but could this actually work?
It's a bold move, and it definitely has the potential to appeal to voters who are struggling with housing affordability.
Yeah.
Eliminating the GST on new builds could stimulate the construction industry and make homeownership more attainable for some Canadians. However, it's important to consider the potential downsides.
Like what? Is there a catch? There's always a catch, isn't there?
Well, some critics argue that this could actually lead to a spike in housing prices, which would exacerbate the affordability crisis for those who are already struggling. Increasing housing supply is crucial, but it has to be done strategically to avoid unintended consequences.
So it's a bit of a gamble. High risk, high reward.
It's a complex issue with no easy solutions. And it's a prime example of how Poilievre is trying to appeal to a broad range of voters. He's targeting homeowners who are frustrated by rising prices and renters who are struggling to find affordable places to live.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a smart strategy. Find a pain point and offer a solution. But speaking of pain points, let's talk about another one that Poilievre's been hammering on. The carbon tax.
Ah, yes, the carbon tax. This is a key point of differentiation between the Conservatives and the Liberals. Trudeau has made climate action a central pillar of his government's agenda, while Poilievre sees the carbon tax as an economic burden that's hurting families and killing jobs.
He's not exactly mincing words, is he?
No.
He's called it a tax on everything and a job-killing machine.
Strong language.
Pretty strong language.
He's definitely appealing to those who are feeling the pinch of rising costs and who are skeptical of government intervention in the name of climate change. It's a message that resonates with a segment of the population, particularly those who are struggling to make ends meet.
But isn't climate change a real thing? The scientists seem pretty convinced.
There's no doubt that climate change is a serious issue that needs to be addressed. But there's also a legitimate debate about the best way to do that.
Okay.
Poilievre argues that his plan to boost productivity and create jobs will ultimately benefit the environment more than a carbon tax. He believes that a stronger economy will give Canada the resources it needs to invest in clean energy and other environmental initiatives.
So he's saying, let's get the economy humming, and then we can worry about saving the planet. Is that a viable strategy?
It's certainly a different approach than what the Liberals are proposing, and it raises some interesting questions about the relationship between economic growth and environmental protection. Are they mutually exclusive goals? Or can we find ways to achieve both?
These are big questions, and they're not easily answered. But one thing's for sure. Poilievre's not afraid to shake things up and challenge the status quo.
He's definitely a disruptor. And whether you agree with his policies or not, it's clear that he's tapping into a deep well of frustration and anxiety that exists within a segment of the Canadian population.
He's playing the role of the outsider.
Yeah.
The one who's not afraid to fight for the little guy.
Yeah.
It's a classic political strategy, but it seems to be working for him.
It is. He's also quite skilled at using language to connect with voters on an emotional level. Remember that YouTube clip you sent us? He comes across as passionate, energetic, and genuinely concerned about the challenges facing everyday Canadians.
Yeah. He definitely knows how to work a crowd. But is it all just smoke and mirrors?
Maybe.
Can he actually deliver on his promises?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's one that we'll explore in the final part of our deep dive. We'll analyze Poilievre's chances of success and discuss what a Conservative victory would mean for Canada.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after a quick word from our sponsors. Welcome back to Totally Pointless for the thrilling conclusion of our Canadian politics deep dive. We've covered a lot of ground. A bombshell resignation, a potential trade war, and a charismatic Conservative leader who's promising to turn the tide.
It has been a roller coaster, and now we're at the edge of our seats waiting to see how it all plays out.
So let's get right to the heart of the matter. Does Pierre Poilievre actually have a shot at becoming Canada's next prime minister?
Well, based on current polling, his chances look pretty good. The Conservatives have a substantial lead over the Liberals, and Poilievre's message seems to be resonating with voters who are feeling economically anxious and disillusioned with the status quo.
He's definitely tapped into a vein of discontent, hasn't he?
He has.
Promising lower taxes, less government intervention, and a strong stance against those pesky Trump tariffs. It's a potent mix.
It is, and it's particularly effective in the current climate. People are looking for someone who offers a sense of stability and a clear vision for the future. Poilievre is presenting himself as that person, projecting an image of confidence and decisiveness.
But let's not count Justin Trudeau out just yet. He's been prime minister for a while now, and he's a seasoned politician with a loyal following.
Trudeau's definitely facing an uphill battle, but he's no stranger to political adversity.
Right.
He's likely to campaign hard, emphasizing his experience and his commitment to progressive values.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how he counters Poilievre's populist appeal.
It's shaping up to be a classic clash of ideologies.
Yeah.
The experienced liberal incumbent versus the fiery conservative challenger.
And it's playing out against a backdrop of significant global uncertainty.
Yeah.
The return of Donald Trump to the White House has definitely added fuel to the fire, and those tariffs loom large over the Canadian economy.
It's like a political thriller, but with real-world consequences.
Yeah.
Whoever wins this election will have their work cut out for them.
Absolutely. They'll need to navigate complex domestic issues like housing affordability and climate change, all while dealing with the unpredictable nature of international relations.
So what does this mean for you, listener? Well, it means that Canadian politics is about to get very interesting.
It's a time of both uncertainty and opportunity. Canadians have a chance to shape their future by choosing the leader they believe will best represent their interests.
It's a reminder that democracy is a dynamic process, and each election offers a chance to reassess our priorities and make our voices heard.
So stay informed, engage in the debate, and most importantly, exercise your right to vote.
And that's a wrap on our Canadian Politics Deep Dive. Thanks for joining us on this wild ride, listener. We hope you've gleaned some totally pointless yet strangely fascinating insights into the political landscape up north.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more totally pointless deep dives. Until next time.